All right, everyone. Thanks for coming to the April Sugar House Community Council meeting. Just a reminder, everybody looks like they're muted. All questions will be in the chat. I met with the library last week. I think we might go back in person in June, and then we'll try to do some online version as well. Bill Knowles wanted me to pass along that the 24-hour fitness project is going to get underway next week. If you have any problems, I'll put Bill Knowles' information in the chat. But I think this developer will do a really good job of keeping the sidewalk safe for people that are walking and all of those. It sounds like both projects, so both sides of the street will happen concurrently. So that'll be about a 2.5-year project. I'm going to go to Shane Stroud for a secretary report. Shane, you ready?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, just a couple of things. Hi, everybody. First, I sent everyone attachment C to our bylaws. If you remember, this is the last remaining portion of our bylaws updates that we need to take care of. This has to do with information as to numbers of trustees within our neighborhoods. It's based on the 2020 census data. The actual total number of trustees decreased by 1 between 2010 and 2020. That's not because the population decreased, it's just because of the way the math works out. And it's mostly because the population is distributing more evenly across the neighborhoods, whereas historically, there were certain neighborhoods that didn't have a very high population, particularly the Fairmont district, which before the Fairmont neighborhood was mostly warehouse spaces or commercial, and you can see that increase in population. So I didn't get any replies to that with any changes. So I think if we can, I'd like to vote on that for approval tonight. And once we do approve that, our bylaws updates will be completed, and I can record that with the Division of Corporations. And hopefully we're in good shape on those for another 10 years until the next census comes out. So if I could get a motion to approve that attachment C, or maybe I should pause and say, does anyone have any questions or comments about attachment C before we ask for a vote?
Well done, Shane.
Thanks. So if I could get a motion to approve that from somebody.
I'll make a motion since I'm unmuted.
Okay, perfect. So Landon moved, and then I saw Judy raise her hand. So I think Judy seconds. Can all in favor, can you raise your hand? And I just need to look through everybody, just one second. And then any opposed? And let me look again. Okay, it looks like the motion passes unanimously. Or James, are you in favor or are you opposed? I'm sorry. I can't tell.
He's good, Shane.
Okay. If there is some opposition, please put the opposition into the chat.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, James.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. If there is some opposition or I missed somebody, please put it in the chat. I don't want to miss anybody. Otherwise, it looks like the motion passes unanimously.
Can I make a comment?
Certainly.
I had a long conversation. There's a group called Salt Lake Community Network, which is made up of representatives of all the community councils. And I think that group sent a letter to the redistricting commission that's redistricting for the Salt Lake City Council, asking that the number of people that live in each of the districts be even and keep communities of, what's the term?
Keep the community councils in the district rather than splitting them.
Well, but communities of interest, that's what it is. So like on the west side where it's maybe more Hispanic, they want to stay together as a group. So I talked with the District 7 representative or the District 6 representative for that at length. And it's really difficult because, you know, she's trying to guess where the increase is going to be in a couple of years and, you know, why it's here and why it's there. And she wanted to peel off the neighborhoods that we have that are Bonneville Hills and what's the one below that? You know, the ones that are up close to District 6 and move those into District 6. And I said, yeah, but, and I sent her this chart. I said, this chart has been active since 1978. That's our community of interest. So that's just an observation. I don't know where they're going to go with that. I think they're going to have to figure a different way out of that hole.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And we may, you know, as we approach the next census, we may need to look, you know, if there is some sort of realignment such that it makes it difficult to calculate trustees for Sugar House Community Council, or those neighborhoods change significantly, or council people change, we might need to look at that more closely. But fortunately, we have another 10 years before we have to worry about that.
That's right. and part of it is, you know, those neighborhoods they wanted to put in District 6 have always been in District 7.
Right.
And they talked about Emerson. You know, that's where I am, and Brandon and Erica. That's been in District 5. And I've only lived in my house 47 years. So even though that's part of Sugar House, I don't see a problem with keeping us in District 5.
Sure.
So it can go both ways.
Right. Well, keep me in the loop. And, you know, if they want to talk to me about anything, I'm happy to talk to them. And at this point, I've poured over a lot of census data, so we'll have a bit of background in it.
Right.
Shane, you want to introduce our new Beacon Heights trustee?
Sure. So that's our second order of business. So I'd like to introduce Charles Lyons. He's a new petition we have this month for trustee in Beacon Heights. In the spirit of full disclosure, Charles is an attorney with the Attorney General's office, as am I, in the natural resources section, as am I. And Charles works in wildlife. And technically, Charles is, I guess I'm his supervisor. But I promise not to strong arm him into any type of decision unless it involves some sort of errant wildlife that happens to be harassing you in some way. And I'm just kidding. There's no type of conflict of interest under the bylaws. I just want to make sure everybody knows of that, you know, kind of relationship between me and Charles. But he's a fantastic guy. And I asked him, you know, I've been kind of hounding him to become involved with the council because I know he lives in Beacon Heights and I think he'd be a great addition to the Sugar House Community Council. So maybe I can just kind of turn it over to him and let him introduce himself.
Thanks, Shane. I appreciate that. There was no coercion involved in this. And I would just like to congratulate Shane because he just recently became my supervisor. He got a little step up to be section director. So woohoo. Yeah, like Shane mentioned, I live in Beacon Heights. I live on 2300 East, pretty close to Hillside Middle School. We bought a house here about 1.5 years ago. My wife, Sarah, and my son, David. I'm originally from Wisconsin. I lived in Miami, Florida before attending law school at the U, and then took a job with the Attorney General's office doing natural resource work, representing the Department of Natural Resources generally. The biggest thing I worked on recently that you're all aware of probably is the Parley's Canyon mine stuff. And so I was involved in that pretty heavily. And now I'm trying to ease away from doing any of that mining stuff and focus exclusively on with the Division of Wildlife Resources. And so part of me wanting to join this is just kind of being new to the community, knowing that this is a great group from talking to Shane, and just want to be involved and see what I can do to help make this place even better than it already is. So excited to be here, excited to hopefully join the group. I filed my petition. Hopefully I get accepted. Can always feel free to reach out to me, especially if I know there's other Beacon Heights representatives there. I want to meet everybody that's kind of involved with this stuff and just, you know, move forward and work collaboratively and do some good things together. So that's it.
Can I move approval?
Sure.
I'd like to say that we don't often have representatives from Beacon Heights, so we're very glad to have you.
Great.
Thank you.
I'll second. Everybody raise a hand for favor. Thanks, Charles. Welcome aboard.
Thanks, everybody. Glad to be here.
Hey, Mike, we're gonna hurry and go to the fire department before our treasure report, okay? Jeff, are you ready? If he's still on.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm working on an iPad, not our computer. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the camera to turn on as well. Okay, there we go. Apologize.
Hey, it's nice to see you again.
Yeah, good to be back in the loop. So, good evening, everyone. I don't have the chief usually sends out like run numbers, and I don't have that available right now, so I apologize. But it's spring, and the main concern right now is the spring runoff. As the temps warm up, that water is going to start moving. So just make sure everybody's aware. Any of the moving water, that it could be fast and could be dangerous for children and pets. We are staying busy with the fire department. We're back to pretty much full normal operations as far as accepting visitors in the station and starting to back up doing our PR events. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Anybody have any questions? No, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to be here. I'm glad everybody's healthy and doing well.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, happy to be here.
All right, Mike, treasury report.
Hey, hi, everybody. It's quick and easy this time. So just looking at the U.S. bank balance, we sit at $6,591.58. No new activity to report from last month, other than a couple pennies from interest earned. So, probably not keeping up with inflation, but that's where we're at. I didn't see any activity on our PayPal account either. And just want to give a thank you to Roblina Levine for her generous donation that I know Landon's received that. And so appreciate that. Everything helps us on our mission.
Thanks, Mike.
I'll take questions or in the chat, however.
Thanks, Mike. Andrew Smith wanted to come by and just chat for a minute. This is about the Parley's Mine. Go ahead, Andrew.
Thank you, Landon.
Sure.
And thank you for everybody that's here. I just wanted to give a quick update. Last week, and welcome to Charles to the group. But the tree farm applications for both a small and a large mine were they asked to kind of withdraw those. And the Board of Oil, Gas, and Mining, the Doggum Board, allowed that to happen. It was talked about from a representative of those people that they would be filing another small mine. I haven't seen that. We've been looking. And so as soon as we see a new application, we'll let everybody know. Also, this week, just yesterday, the biggest news is the Salt Lake County Council, after about 2 months of lots of meetings and letters, and some of you might have written letters, and planning commissions and everything else, they voted unanimously to make an amendments to the ordinances, zoning ordinances, to basically eliminate and prohibit mining and mining operation and mineral extraction types of operations inside of the forestry and recreation zones, and also the FCOS zones, which is the foothill and overlay, the foothill and canyons overlay. So anything that's zoned that right now is it's prohibited to do any kind of a mining operation. Now, that said, we won a nice battle, but the war is not over. And I sent something to Landon earlier today and to a lot of the other Salt Lake community councils that I've been working with, that over the next 10 days, whatever new developments happen, I will get you an update, and I will try to pass that on for whatever new strategies or new plans that this operator is trying to do to kind of override what the county just did, or try to get this mine approved. And so it's like I say, we won a nice battle, but we haven't won the war. We don't know exactly what's coming. We know that something will be coming, and you'll be one of the first to know as soon as I know. Lastly, and just in closing, I wanted to thank Landon and all of the trustees on this council and everybody that's joining us right now and over the last several months as I've been informing you and PowerPoints and talking about it. And you can see yard signs that say stop the gravel pit and Parley's, all of those kinds of things. I wanted to thank you for all that support. And it's been very important to see that type of action and the voices being heard. And so thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Andrew. Thanks
Any questions that anybody might have? So,
Larry, you want to say something?
Yeah, just a suggestion. Stop the gravel pit is a good sign, but I think you might want to mention the pollution of the gravel pit, because it's a horrible thing. And I think people need to realize that we're not just trying to stop a commercial interest.
You're right. And the sign also leads people to the website where there's all kinds of causes, all kinds of concerns and issues and impacts that are listed there. But it is going to be time to maybe change what that looks like. I appreciate that comment, Larry, because you're not the only one that has said something about that. That there maybe is going to be when you brand something and you have a sign up, sometimes it's good to change it around. And it's been up for 6 weeks, and so maybe a new sign next week is coming out. I don't know, but we're thinking about that and we're talking about it. So thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrew. Susan, you have something to say?
Well, I typed my question in the chat like you suggested.
Oh, it all goes to hell.
I'll go ahead and ask it. I covered those Salt Lake County Council meetings, and I listened to that discussion yesterday, and the council indicated that the ordinance, the amended ordinance sort of protects existing operations and that they're not affected by that vote. I wonder if I got that right. Is that correct? If anyone knows, maybe Laura Briefer was there, I know. And if that is correct, what are the existing operations? Can you say? There was one councilwoman, Dee Theodore, who's not in Salt Lake City, but part of the Cottonwood Heights, who wanted to help her neighbors who have private mining going on. And I wondered how often that really happens.
So,
Laurie, do you want to comment on
it? That's a good question, and it's been brought up before, and it was discussed over the last number of weeks and on last night. So the way I understand it is if you have, well, first of all, the ordinance changes are for forestry, currently zoned forestry and the FRZs and the FCAUS places. So if you live in the foothills of Cottonwood Heights, you're probably not zoned an FCAUS or an FRZ. You're already zoned whatever your house is on or whatever your property is. And if they have something going on, if they have a permit, they can do it. This is to protect the mountains and the forestry and recreation areas that the proposed Parley's Mine is sitting right on the forestry zone. And that's what this is all about. And other mines and other things could happen depending on where what the zoning is for the actual property and what their intention is. And they have to go to the Board of Dogum and file a permit. And the last few weeks, Charles has been probably looking at some of those things. I don't know what's come across his desk, but then they could do that. It's only in the forestry areas.
Thank you.
Hey, Ann, Charles, you have something to say?
So this is interesting that this is the topic of conversation on the first time that I'm kind of joining you all, because I'm actually pretty conflicted out of discussing very much of this stuff. But I haven't followed too much what the counties are doing, just because I'm shifting focus to other matters. But I can assume that part of the reason why it's not going to affect any other existing mining operations is because there will be subject to constitutional takings claims. So those people have a right to do that at the moment. And if you're going to stop them, there's going to be massive litigation associated with that, and the costs would be astronomical, because I'm sure there are multiple operations. But so usually this type of stuff is just going to try to put a prohibition on any new operations going forward. And so that's probably what's happening there, just to clarify.
All right, guys, any other questions?
I agree with that.
Any other questions we're going to have to do in the chat? Laura Briefer has to be at another meeting at 8:30. So we need to get to our new detective. So I'm going to unmute Detective Fallows. Sam, you ready?
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
I am ready.
Go ahead. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm Detective Samuel Fallows. Been a police officer for 12 years. I just got in this position maybe a month and a half ago, and then they switched up all the districts. And so Bob, Detective Norgard, went back to 3 and 4, and I am taking 5, 6, and 7. So I will be your guys' community liaison officer now. And I should probably ask, everybody can hear me, right? Like,
yeah, you're good.
Okay. I'm like, nobody's getting any feedback here. Okay. So I know, like, you guys usually like to hear some of the stats and stuff like that. So in addition to that, I like to put in some links that I put in the chat at the very beginning of the chat, if people want to look at those. Some helpful things for us as a police department. The Salt Lake City mobile app, I'm sure, if not all of you, a lot of you already have that downloaded. If not, please download it. It helps us be able to track the people experiencing homelessness, things where there's issues, or even if it's just something as simple as like speeding. That app is really helpful. I also put in, if you want to delve deeper into the stats, the one I'm going to go in today, there's a link for that. And then a couple other helpful links in there. So I'll go and just delve into your numbers. So Sugar House is a pretty large geographic area. So you guys definitely cover a lot of area. There were your top calls for service, and I was talking to Detective Norgard about this, and this sounds pretty common, is vehicle prowls or vehicle burglaries. There were 40 of those in the month of March. It's just a good reminder to make sure that we're locking up our vehicles, not leaving anything in there of value that's in plain sight. And another helpful thing, because a lot of them happen at night generally, another helpful thing is to just make sure you have your outside lights on if you park your vehicle outside. And that definitely are some things that can help deter that. Your second highest call for service was shoplifting. You guys obviously have a lot of business in your district, and so most of that is pretty much related to pretty much one area for the most part, like probably 80% of it. So nothing to be super concerned about. There's not a lot we can do to cut down on that. It's kind of dependent on the individual stores. Next is the reportable traffic accidents. There was 22 of those. Again, those are things that can be preventable. That's why they call them like accidents, right? It's just an accident, but something to kind of be aware of. And again, your Sugar House has some very large streets and large, very busy streets like Highland and those that run through it. So it makes sense why that's kind of high. The next highest are people experiencing like psychological issues of some kind, like a mental health crisis. There were 17 of those. The next one was credit card frauds at 12. So again, that's generally related back to the vehicle burglaries. So people are leaving purses, people are leaving wallets, things like that in the vehicles. Just make sure you're taking all those things out of your vehicle so that you don't become a victim of two different crimes. And then the last one that I had is a theft of like parts from a vehicle. A lot of times that's either the front license plate, or lately we've been having some catalytic converters being stolen off vehicles. So just make sure you're checking your vehicles, make sure you have both your plates. I know it sounds kind of weird, but they take the front plate all the time. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't look at my front plate very often. So just make sure you're checking that to make sure it's there and then report it. And then for us, from the police department side, it helps a lot when you guys report things you see, anything suspicious. I like to see those types of calls for service because that means that our citizens are letting us know, hey, there's an issue over here. I promise you, you're not a bother to the police department. Things are starting to get busier, obviously, as it's warming up, and are definitely, again, Sugar House is a large geographical area. It's a big community council. You're going to see the numbers go up for sure. It's just kind of how it works over the summertime. But if we can help to like start mitigating some of the vehicle prowls, that seems to be your number one call each month. So we can try and work on that. Talk with your neighbors, talk with your family members, remind them to work on getting those things, making sure the vehicles are locked up, things like that. And then a couple other things of note: there were 17 burglaries between residential and non-residential, and there were 23 damaged properties between vehicles, residences, and businesses. So those three categories, there was 23 of those. So again, those are things where it could be because of a lot of different reasons. They are kind of hard to mitigate, but just if you have something happen, please call us and let us know, and we can take a report. It'll help out with being able to get resources to areas and things like that from my perspective as a community liaison officer. So that's all I have for you guys. Anybody have any questions?
Hey, Sam, do you mind putting your contact info in the chat for us all?
Yeah, it should be at the very top. I put that at the very top.
Okay, great. Hey, and tell Bob behind you hello and thanks for everything.
Talk to him? Here, Bob will talk to you guys real quick. Hold on.
Okay.
Everyone, it was a pleasure working with you all. You are in good hands with Sam. Take care.
That voice is unreal. Well, thank you. Thanks, Sam, for introducing yourself, and look forward to working with you.
Absolutely. Feel free to hit me up anytime with any concerns, anybody. So I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Brandon, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, man. Brandon Hill, co-chair, along with Erica Wiggins of the Sugar House Chamber. Tonight, we'd like to introduce some good friends of ours for the monthly business spotlight, the Neighborhood Hive, where we will be having our next chamber meeting on April 20th at 5:30. So if anybody would like to attend, we will be up at the Neighborhood Hive. Derek, I saw you guys on, and I think I saw Jed, and I'm not sure if I'm missing any of the other group, but feel free to unmute yourselves and say hello to the group.
Hey guys, we're super excited. I don't know if anybody's been up 21st and 21st and seen the Neighborhood Hive sign that's been finally painted on the building and the stucco's done, but we're super excited about it. You guys have heard from me for months and months and months all about the Neighborhood Hive. So I thought I'd bring some of my good buddies and business partners in to tell you their take on the Neighborhood Hive. So I'm going to turn it over to Jed Matthews and Tiffany Rainwater. They're from the Beanhole. And also I saw Marcy Matheson, who is also part of the Neighborhood Hive on here. If she wants to unmute and show herself, we can include her as well. But take it away, Jed and Tiffany.
Hi guys, thanks for having us, number one, and thanks for all of the support. It's been a long project, as you're fully aware of. Derek's kept you informed from what we understand. But we've been in the neighborhood for a long time. We're very sneaky and hiding out behind originally the yogurt stop, and then eventually Jed's Barbershop, just down from Landon's house. And we kept ourselves going for quite a while down there, about 10 years actually. We were participated in the Sugar House Farmers Market, which was where we were first introduced to Derek and his wife, Jen, and also one of our partners, Hello Bulk, Jamaica Trimmin'. And it was pretty easy to tell that those guys were all very hard workers, and they had a work ethic that was easy to, it was easy to see that they knew what it was all about to make it work. So as small businesses, that's something that we encountered a major disruption in what we considered normal about 9 months ago when we were evicted from the property that's being redeveloped. It wasn't a comfortable situation, but fortunately Landon knew a place where we could go hide out. This is my wife, Tiffany. She's she's the brains of our outfit. I just watch beans go around in a big roasty drum, and then hang out with people on Saturdays. So the neighborhood hive is something we're super excited about. We started working on it before we were evicted from the other space, but we couldn't make it happen quick enough that we could transition over. So we came up with a great plan to hang out in our parking lot of the neighborhood hive, which wasn't going quite as quick as we had hoped with the construction side of things, but we made the best of it out in the parking lot most of the summer, and then into the winter as well. When the snow really started flying, that was when we really had some motivation to get things done, but the contractors had a different situation there. So we just kept at it, and we invited a lot of other folks along with us. That included many small businesses that were participating in different markets, including the downtown farmers market. And when that closed down, we really got a big push of interest that kind of made it really feel like a possible community of businesses could really work out. And we were banking on it, but it kind of made it really solidify the fact that a lot of people needed a lot of places to vend that didn't really have that option for a brick and mortar store yet, which we were in that situation at one point as well. We're hoping the neighborhood hive can create that space where we can help springboard small businesses, everyone from 7th graders to somebody like Les Madeleine Bakery, which is what we'd consider a senior in our world, as opposed to our sophomore selves. So we're super excited. It's going to be great. We know that. We have a lot of different folks joining us there that are going to be our resident vendors, as well as making room for some of our smaller characters that might just be able to come in for the day because they still have day jobs that don't let them go out and hustle a 7-day-a-week sort of situation. So we're hoping that we can help them learn, as well as share the space with the community and create a really unique local shopping experience that kind of mimics even a little bit of the area that we were removed from. There was over 20 businesses in that area that were mostly local businesses, and some of them scrambled, like Sue's Alteration. She found a home across from Sugar House Park, but not a lot of businesses were able to do that. So as we teamed up for it, we felt like as a group we could be a lot stronger, and we had an opportunity to create something that was bigger than all of us. Jamaica Trinman's on now too. She's one of our partners. But would you like to say anything? I feel like I just kind of rambled on a bit, but that's what I do.
That's what you do best, Jed.
I'm a caffeine peddler.
We have a few more minutes. If Tiffany or Jamaica would like to say anything, talk about who our businesses are that are inside permanently now.
I'll let Jamaica go. She can chat about some things.
I jumped on a little late, so I hope I'm not repeating anything. Have you broken down the resident small businesses?
Not yet. I mostly just rambled about us.
Well, here's the spiel we're giving everybody. So it's a marketplace of shared small business space, and it's basically these small businesses give a small brick and mortar in our space because, like Jed just talked about, it's really alienating to sign a lease and lease costs in the city and so many things. It's a very high risk model. So this is a safer model for everybody to kind of have a small brick and mortar experience. And so we have in there the bean hole right when you walk in the door. Where can you get coffee that's roasted on site in the city, you know? And then we have Key Lime Designs, which is vintage and secondhand decor. Like Hello Bolt, she believes that we have a lot of good stuff. We don't need to buy everything new. There's a lot of good stuff over there that you can get secondhand. Some really good finds. She curates that really especially for us. And then we have Les Madelines, which is like, she's been in business 18 years. This is her second location. That's a French bakery. And then we have Salt Lake City Moments, which is a florist. So you can get beautiful bouquets. Then Hello Bulk Markets, which is my thing. And this is a refill store standing in my other location as we speak. This is where you bring your own containers and grocery shop for body care, household cleaners, and grocery with your own containers instead of purchasing single-use plastics. So we've been around about 3.5 years here in Salt Lake City. Then you move on to Oleo Skin and Beard, another maker that's literally producing in the space their own body care and beard oils and skin and cold processed soaps right there in the space. And then we have Irie and they had microgreen gardens that they're selling here in the basement, even doing fruit popsicles now.
We're losing.
Oh.
So what'd you make?
Is there anyone I'm forgetting?
You were kind of cutting out there. So you were just Irie Market Gardens. They have microgreens. They have a hydroponic farm in Ogden, and they have lots of yummy salad mixes, fresh greens, freeze-dried treats, trail mixes.
Hollaback.
Oh, we have Hollabacto is the fresh bread that's in. We have local toffee. We have fresh flowers. So we just are creating a nice local shopping experience for the community to come in and grab some flowers, grab some soap, grab some coffee. And we have a great building. We plan to maximize the space. We have plans for a commercial kitchen in a few months where it can be rented by the hour from makers as well as just anyone in the community that wants to come in and make cookies with your friends one night. You can rent it out by the hour, as well as hopefully some food truck nights in the summer, live music. We want to do all kinds of fun stuff there.
And your grand openings?
Saturday.
Saturday will be open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and we're going to have some raffles. We'll have a DJ there from 11 to 3, DJ Hitchhike. He's going to play some jazzy mellow vibes for us. So raffle drawings, discounts. So come see us.
Awesome.
We've worked hard.
Brandon, anything else?
Nope. And I'll put the details of our annual or monthly chamber meetings in the chat, but thanks again to the Neighborhood Hive and chamber members, Olio, Skin and Beard particularly. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. I'm lucky enough to live a block away, so I go there a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have the Director of Public Utilities, Laura Briefer. Are you ready, Laura?
Yeah, thank you, Landon. And so great to listen to the conversation up to now. The Hive sounds wonderful. And thank you also, Landon, for being flexible with the schedule. I'm sort of community council hopping tonight and headed to Greater Avenues Community Council later, but you guys are the coolest. Don't tell them I said that. So I am here to talk about our water supply outlook for this summer. And I do have a presentation that I'll try to share if that's okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm disabled from screen sharing.
You should be good now.
Okay, good. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So this is hot off the press today, and it's our 2022 water supply update. And just to sort of remind everybody here, I think you all know this, but Salt Lake City Public Utilities water service area includes drinking water provision to more than 360,000 people across Salt Lake City, and then portions of Mill Creek, Holiday, Cottonwood Heights, South Salt Lake, Murray, and Midvale. It's a pretty large service area, about 141 square miles. And our website has a lot of information, including the definition of our service area here. And also just an update about our water supply sources. So this is part of our long-term planning starting in the early 1900s and out to 2060 now, but our surface water sources that comprise our local Wasatch Canyon streams of Parley's Canyon, City Creek, Big Cottonwood, and Little Cottonwood Canyons provide us about 50 to 60% of the water supply for that big service area. And then we also rely on surface water storage in Deer Creek Reservoir that comes to us through the Provo River Project and the Central Utah Project. And that comprises 30 to 40% of our water supply. In addition, we have groundwater sources that are deep wells and springs, which are about 10 to 15%. There's variability each year about how much of what source is in our service area. It just really depends on things like climate and snowpack, and whether we have a construction project that, you know, makes one source a little less reliable than another. But those are the major breakdowns of our water sources. And that's really important for us to consider in a year like this. And I'll talk about that in a little bit here in this presentation. So as a water utility, we are regulated as a public water system and a public water supplier under the Federal and State Safe Drinking Water Act and under state statutes that govern things like water rights. And under the Safe Drinking Water Act, we have a lot of obligation and responsibility in terms of making sure that the water to your tap is safe. And that is a multifaceted strategy that includes source water protection. I think many of you are familiar with our efforts in watershed protection in our local Wasatch Mountains. That's a big part of our source water protection. We also have, we also have a water treatment obligations, and Salt Lake City owns 3 water treatment plants in City Creek, Big Cottonwood Creek, and Little Cottonwood, and Parley's Creek. And then we are a partner in water treatment facilities that are owned and operated by the Metropolitan Water District of Salt Lake and Sandy. Our water distribution system is comprised of all of the water mains, distribution lines, pump stations, those types of things. And then under the Safe Drinking Water Act, we are also required to monitor water quality from the source of the water in the watersheds to what comes out of your tap. And so, you know, we exceed all of these requirements and then some. I think, you know, we look at the regulations as minimum, and we want to make sure that we are protecting public health and environmental health through our work. We also provide on an annual basis water quality information that gets sent out to all of our water customers and then also posted on our website. And I've included a lot of website links in this presentation. And Landon, I'm happy to share this presentation with you too. All right. There we go. So what we do to determine every year to determine annual water supply outlook, we look at what we're starting the water year with, and then we determine, you know, what probability we have of below average, average, or higher than average water supplies on our system. And so this year, what we'll start the water year with, which the water year starts on April 1st, is one positive in that soil moisture is a lot better than last year. If you remember the drought conditions we had last year, we had super inefficient runoff because our soil moisture levels were so low, and that really affected the amount of water available to bring into the drinking water system. So one positive is that we do have better soil moisture levels. But however, we've got this trend of warmer temperatures and lower precipitation, lower than normal snowpack. And all of that has put us at the start of the water year in a situation where all of the state of Utah is either in severe or extreme drought. So it's quite a persistent drought. As you can see on the figures I've provided here, we're not alone. Persistent drought is evident across the entire Western United States. And this is something that a lot of our neighbors are also dealing with. So because of where we're starting the water year and the projections that we are models and projections that we look at, we have a high probability of below average water supplies. We're seeing projections of runoff ranging between 65 to 83% of average yield of all of the sources on our system. And we're still in La Nina conditions, which typically in our part of the country deliver less precipitation. And then we also look regularly at the models for our 3-month outlooks for temperature and precipitation. So for April, May, and June, we are expecting a greater probability for increased temperatures and a greater probability for decreased precipitation. That's meaningful because increased temperatures often have an impact on demand for water because we've got more demand in our vegetation and evapotranspiration. And then of course, the lower precipitation has more to do with the supply side. I have a lag on my PowerPoint presentation here, so I'm trying to advance it. Let's see, maybe I can do this. We'll just advance it like this. So we're flexible and adaptable here. I share this this model graph with you because I just think it's important, you know, as people who are relying on our water resources, and I think a lot of you are very interested in being able to access information and sort of look at things from your own perspectives. But here's an example of what I use when I'm looking at projections for water supply. This is something that is published by the Colorado Basin River Forecast Center of the National Weather Service. And I look at, this is a graph that shows what the projections are for runoff on Big Cottonwood Creek. Big Cottonwood Creek provides on average between 20 and 25% of our water supplies. And so it's an important one that I look at, but I look at all of the streams on our system. And there's a lot of great information on this graph, but it shows us at the top of the graph, a dashed green line that shows what was the maximum runoff ever recorded instrumentally in Big Cottonwood Creek, and that was in 2011. And you can see on the side that the volume is in 1,000 acre feet. And then the bottom part of the graph is by month. And then you've got the solid green line, dark green line is the average recorded on Big Cottonwood Creek. The dashed dark green line is the median. And then the bottom light green dashed line is the minimum, which was 1934. And so the light shaded blue lines show the realm of possibility for what might happen on Big Cottonwood Creek in terms of runoff, with the dark blue line in the center being what we are projecting. And so with this projection, you can compare it to what we've seen in terms of maximum flow, minimum flow, and also look at yield. And so what this is saying is that what we expect the yield of Big Cottonwood Creek to be this year is 25,000 acre feet, which is 74% of average and 86% of median. As a water manager, that's really meaningful to me because I can compare what we're expecting in terms of yield on this creek with what my demand needs are for each part of the system. So I just wanted to share that. It's a little technical, but also I think it's important for you to know sort of the science and modeling that goes into these projections each year. And then we also look at a lot of other resources related to like water storage, for instance. So as I mentioned earlier, the water that's stored in Deer Creek, that's part of our Provo River project and Central Utah project supply, is very important to us and comprises about 30 to 40% of our supply. It's really a very important piece of the water supply, especially to meet peak demands during the summer or to get us through multiple years of drought. And so currently, Deer Creek is sitting at about 85% of capacity, which is really good, but not all of that is available to the stakeholders in the Provo River project, in which Salt Lake City is one of those. You might have seen a newspaper article recently where about 14,000 acre feet of what is sitting in Deer Creek has been, through a collaborative agreement, pledged to Weber County Water Conservancy District, which has some really substantial challenges in terms of water supply this year. Which brings up another good point in that with respect to water management in the state and in the region, we all really try to work together on conjunctive management and really try to make sure that water supplies are getting to where they need to be. And then finally, what we're looking at here is water conservation and demand management. So as we're heading into another year of persistent drought, we're going to be asking all of our customers on the system, our residents and businesses and institutions and government agencies to continue to do the great work as evidenced last summer of reducing overall water use and demand during our summer peak period. And we last year, Salt Lake City entered into stage 2 of its water shortage contingency plan due to drought conditions. Stage 2 of our plan means that we have voluntary water restrictions for businesses and residences and mandatory restrictions for government entities. We've not gone out of stage 2, and I'm not recommending that we do. I think we need to stay in stage 2 of our plan, and we'll continue to keep evaluating to see if we need to move to any other stages of our water contingency plan. There's a lot of great information on our website and resources in other areas to help you conserve. Our water conservation plan has a lot of good information, but then I've also have a lot of other resources here for you. So on our website for water conservation and drought information, we've got a lot of links to various programs that you could take part in, including Rip the Strip, Localscapes, and a number of others that are offered through our partner Central Utah Water Conservancy District through our department. We've got a rain barrel program, and we also have a water tech program that Salt Lake City administers alongside Utah State University. So a lot of really great resources out there, and even a landscape guide that we've put together that shows examples of water-wise landscaping locally. So people in our community that have implemented water-wise landscaping. I've also included some references here to some of the modeling and projection and scientific information that I regularly go to take a look at what's happening with our water supplies. So in case any of you are interested in doing that. And that is the end of my presentation here. I'll stop sharing so I can see you all. And definitely open to any questions.
Hey, Laura, Suzanne had a question in the chat.
Oh,
see if I can pull it up. Did you see it?
Not yet. Let me put on my glasses. I turned 51 this year, so.
I mean, you kind of covered it, but what's strong and quick, Tim? Let's see. If not covered in the presentation, what strong and quick things can you do to implement measures are considered? We know it will be bad, so why not get the public used to some strong regulations and incentives ASAP?
Yeah.
Yeah, my main concern is that we know we're going to have problems, and we need to implement and start the conservation now and not wait till July.
Yeah.
I think we're being too cautious.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to educate the public. I think we need to have incentives. We need to have fines or some kind of a punishment if you don't do such and such. I mean, if your sprinklers are running in the middle of the day, can your neighbor report you, and can your water rates go up? Or, I mean, what are we going to do? We can't just say we're in stage 2 and we hope we don't have to go farther. What is stage 3?
Well, stage 3 is still voluntary for residents and businesses and mandatory for institutions and government agencies. Stage 4 is where we get into the regulatory. So we would have those kinds of regulatory restrictions in stage 4. Last year, we avoided additional regulatory restrictions because the voluntary efforts were so substantial. So system-wide, we saved 20%. And the really great thing about that was because so much was saved on our system, I think it was something like 2.6 billion gallons of water. We're going to be able to refill our 100% allocation in water storage. However, your point is really good because you know, this could be a year over year drought. And as we contemplate that, you know, we do not want to cycle down our reservoirs too much. We want to make sure we still have adequate supply to meet really critical demands. And so one of the things that we're doing right now, actually, we're working on a press release and some other information out to the public this week that you should see coming out next week that does exactly what you're saying in terms of public education. It will also point to the places where we have incentives. We do have tools available for people to report water waste. And when you report water waste, we actually contact the property owner where that's happening and try to help them to reduce that waste or to make changes. There's not a regulation that is in our ordinances that has a fine associated with that, but we have found that being able to contact the property owner and have that conversation with them and provide them with assistance has been really, really beneficial. The regulations, like I say, do kick in stage 4. Great question.
Larry, do you have a question? We have a few minutes just for a couple more.
Yes, thanks. I had a question in the chat, but I'm not sure you saw it. I'm wondering, Laura, did you take a position on the gravel pit, and did you have any observations related to effects on water supply from that proposed gravel pit?
Yeah, yes, we have taken a position on the proposed gravel pit in Parley's Canyon. From the very beginning, you know, like a lot of others, we were surprised by the proposal. The concern that we have with the gravel pit is mainly threefold. Like our neighbors in Mill Creek and elsewhere, we're very concerned about air quality impacts, but we're also very concerned too about water quality impacts in the Parley's watershed, which does provide about 20% of our drinking water. And we're very concerned about the water resource footprint. The application did not indicate how much water would be needed. A lot of the air quality and water quality mitigation proposal in the application requires the use of water. And so we have put those concerns forward to the State Division of Oil, Gas, and Mining. I signed an affidavit with those concerns. We also testified, was that yesterday, I think, in favor of Salt Lake County's amendment to its forest recreation zone that would restrict those types of activities. So we've been pretty active in that process.
All right, one more question, and the questions can all be done in the chat. Go ahead, Marina. I think you can, I hope I said your name right.
Yeah, hi Laura.
Hi.
I don't know if you would be able to answer this, but in regard to air quality, what impact will converting all of, just so I see a lot of people that have changed their landscaping, and not everyone's putting plants in. A lot of people are just putting in rocks but there's not a lot of living plants. And how is that going to impact our trees? I'm not asking the question very well, but do you understand what I'm asking?
I think I know what you're asking, Marina. I think when we change our landscapes, we need to consider what unintended consequences might occur from that landscape change. And I think there are a lot of really great ways to have a very water-wise landscape and not have those impacts. I'll give an example where, a park strip that contains a lot of rock on it tends to run off during our monsoon rain events into the storm drain system and block the storm drains. And so there's some erosional issues there. There's also, a benefit to vegetation with respect to heat island impacts, which are becoming greater as our temperatures warm in the community. So, and then of course, as you mentioned, there's our urban forest requires water. One thing that happens if you apply less water to the park strip and you have a tree in the park strip is that the tree doesn't get enough water and dies. And we've seen that occur. And that is my dog in the background. I apologize. So I think, all of those things, it's important to be thoughtful about the landscape that we have in our yards. But there are ways to significantly reduce water while you still have a lot of the benefit of the vegetation and the landscape.
Thank you. Hey, thanks for coming, Laura.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Great to see you all.
Yeah, good luck in Avenues.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, so the I-80 crew is here to give an update. Molly, are you ready?
Yes, indeed. Thanks so much, Landon.
You're welcome.
I will share my screen if that's okay.
Should be okay.
There we go. Wonderful. Okie dokie. So my name is Molly Wiedebenner, and I do public involvement and communications with UDOT on their I-80 and I-215 reconstruction project. Tonight we have Becky Stromness, our UDOT project manager, with us, and Becky will be giving a construction update and a look ahead in terms of upcoming impacts and construction milestones. So with that, Becky, I'll hand it over to you.
Great, thank you. Happy to be here. I think it's been maybe not quite a year, but happy to come tonight and give you guys an update with the progress we're making. So this is just kind of some fun graphics with some trivia of some of the accomplishments during the last year. And so our first year focused on reconstructing the center median of both I-80 and I-215. And the purpose for that is it's going to allow us to shift the traffic into that in just hopefully a month out from now. We've also been working on reconstructing some of the on and off ramps. The bridge at 17th East has been a big focus. And then some of the bridges people might not notice unless you're driving through, like on 20th East, is also in the center median. We're having to build temporary bridges between the eastbound and westbound lanes at both 20th East and 23rd East. So that's been the focus of 2021. Lots of work still remains, but we're excited as the weather warms and we can really pick up the pace. So a big thing coming up in just a few short days is going to be the 17th East bridge replacement. And so in just a few days from now, this coming weekend, this bridge at 17th East is going to be demolished, and the new bridge that has been built to the west of it is going to be slid into position. So starting Friday night, about 9 o'clock, the demolition is going to take place. There's going to be a lot of equipment, a lot of trucks, a lot of action out there on Friday night. Then moving into Saturday morning and afternoon will be the slide itself. And the intent will be to be wrapped up and get traffic back open by Sunday afternoon. We have a little video to kind of depict what's going to happen. So take out the bridge and then slide the new one into position. Then open it back up. So I want to talk a little bit about the traffic impacts. So plan ahead, tell your family, arrange your schedules and plan, trying to get the word out. But to accomplish the bridge demolition and replacement, Interstate 80 is going to be closed over the weekend. So both the eastbound and westbound direction between 700 East and Parley's is going to be closed starting at 9 o'clock on Friday night. And we're anticipating this to go through Sunday around 1 o'clock. There's obviously lots of variables when you're demolishing a bridge and sliding it, but that's our best projection. Hopefully things will go smoothly and we'll get the road open sooner than that. As you look at this map from a global perspective, the detour is out and around using I-15 and 215, and best to just avoid the area. It's not as far as people think it is, but that's our recommended route, is to go out and around. Now, if local, like the Sugar House area and those in the neighborhoods there, we will have 7th East, 33rd South. I mean, all the other main roads are going to be open there. But there will definitely be extra traffic, as those that choose not to detour in the out and around are going to be told to detour on 7th East and 33rd South. So then in the local neighborhood, similar to what's been in place over the last week, and we certainly appreciate everyone's patience with the closures, and we've been preparing for this bridge demolition and bridge slide in your neighborhood. But 17th will be closed between Parley's Canyon Boulevard and Stratford Avenue, again, starting on Friday, about 7 o'clock, and that will continue until Monday morning. So our intent will be to get the road all patched up and put back in time for school on Monday morning. And during this closure, obviously those that are, residential businesses, you can still access kind of where the red dotted with the white is. That's still available to be accessed, but the bridge itself is obviously out. So there's not going to be any ability to cross through there. Actually, will be pretty dangerous with the amount of equipment and large amounts of concrete debris and old bridge girders that are going to have to be hauled out. So the trail, Parley's Trail, will be open, but you can't cross there. So anyone using the trail will need to cross it 20th to get through the area. So looking forward to the rest of this year, we have the bridge demo and slide this weekend. And then approximately a month from now, end of April, beginning of May, Once we have a 17th bridge gone, it's got that center pier, and that'll be able to be removed with the bridge being gone. The new bridge doesn't have a center pier. And so once that's removed, we'll be able to shift the eastbound traffic entirely into the center. And then it will go up the center median across the temporary bridge at 20th and 23rd East. We'll have a similar situation over on 215 where we're moving the traffic to the center median. So look for that approximately a month out on that. And then we will also be doing some work on the 20th East Bridge that currently carries eastbound direction. So we've got to demolish and remove that bridge and then start building the new bridge there. So expect some closures on 20th coming. And then the kind of a bigger thing through the summer and the fall will be the 13th East Bridge. That's a much, much larger bridge than 17th is, but that'll be occurring this summer and into the fall with another bridge slide. And then I do want to let everyone know, unfortunately, with the COVID situation we've all been living through and the shortages in all industry, it also affected construction, labor, equipment, materials. And as such, we are going to be extending into 2023 to finish this project. So that's the update. Back to you, Molly.
Great, thanks so much, Becky. I'll just quickly touch on our project contact information. So we have project-specific contact information, a hotline number that you can always call, and an email. Those are both great ways to reach our team. We also have a website, and you can get some great construction-specific information at our website, and you can also sign up for updates there. So we send out real-time text alerts around planned events and closures. We also send text alerts around kind of unplanned incidents and delays. And we also send out email updates just around larger project milestones and impacts. So we're not spamming your inbox. It's just kind of around the bigger things. So these are really awesome ways to stay in the loop, especially with all this upcoming work. Like Becky mentioned, there's a lot happening. So we encourage you to save our project contact information and to sign up for those updates. And with that, we'll open it up to questions.
Hey, thanks, Molly, for coming. We'll do all questions in the chat. Is that okay? Suzanne, do you mind typing in the chat for these guys?
It's kind of complicated. It has to do with reducing Foothill to one lane, and she may not know about that. They're going to do a mill and fill. I understand you may have to close it to one lane in each direction after peak hours, but to have it extend over 3 months is unbelievable on Foothill.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know about that project.
Okay, skip it then. That's okay.
I'm sure there's a PI team of some sort.
What they need is a PR team.
You know, road construction's really hard, right? We try to do it when it's the least impactful and least inconvenient for people, but it's still challenging. I always compare it to trying to get the oil changed on your car without taking your car out of service. So it's a constant battle that we do the best we can to minimize impacts to everyone.
Well, thank you for coming to give us an update on everything that's going on.
You bet.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. Yeah, thank you.
I'll put our contact information in the chat as well.
That would be great. Thanks, Molly.
Thank you.
Susan, are you ready? So Susan,
I can talk.
Okay.
Thank you, Linda.
You have 5 minutes. That's
okay. I'll hurry.
All right.
Thank you for inviting me. I am representing the League of Women Voters Salt Lake chapter this evening. I've written a long pitch in the newsletter. I hope you'll all have a chance to go read it if you have not. Basically, I'm delighted to see that there are, did you say 70 participants here this evening? And I'm really hoping that I can find one individual or even a tag team of individuals who might be interested in volunteering and joining the League of Women Voters Observer Corps. This is a group of people started about 3 or more years ago. Judy, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think you know, but we go to our city council meetings and take notes based on really watching mostly for openness and transparency in our governing bodies. And when they deal with issues that the league cares about, positions that the league is taking, generally speaking, that's about our natural resources, voting rights, of course, and social justice, healthcare, those kinds of issues that talk about accessibility and inclusiveness. We take notes and we turn them around to our league. And if there are action alerts, we motivate and try to get our communities rolling in terms of raising awareness. But it's also a way to not only engage with our community councils and our representatives, but it's a way for them to feel that they are being watched, and they knowing that League of Women Voters are there to watch them sort of keeps them, I don't want to say honest, but keeps them careful and in terms of them knowing what we want. So this is an outreach question to see if there's anybody. We've got our Salt Lake City Council is not being covered at the moment. So in particular, I'm really hoping that this community council might come up with some volunteers for us, or at least in the neighborhood. I'll call Judy and find out about the general community council meetings and hopefully make a pitch that way too. But we have a hole to fill by covering the Salt Lake City Council meetings. That was my main reason for reaching out this evening. I also, the League wonders if Sugar House Community Council, just to change subjects for a minute, if you're interested in knowing more about the lawsuit with respect to redistricting, if you would like a presentation, I can also help connect you with the right people there. And I also wanted to make you aware, I found out just this week that there's a video contest targeting graduating high school students and students who might like to join a contest, enter their work in a contest on the importance of voting. How was that for 5 minutes? Do you have any questions?
Great. And we'll do our best to get a volunteer for you.
Well, and if just even a listener here, doesn't have to be somebody who's already, you know, volunteering for the community council, but if there are residents or neighbors just listening in, they are welcome to contact me directly, and I can put my contact information in the chat room, and that way we can give them more specific information about what is needed.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Hey, Sarah Woosley, I'm going to give you a couple minutes while we unmute the Other Side Academy.
All right, you guys, thank you. Hey, Sarah Woolsey, I'm with Friends of Fairmont Park. Just raise your hand. Do you like trees? You like more trees? Plant trees at Fairmont Park. We're having a Earth Day oriented tree planting on April 24th. It's a Sunday. Join us at 9 o'clock on the east side of the pond. All abilities welcome. Tree Utah helps support it. We'll do 15 to 20 trees. They usually help us dig the holes, which is awesome. And we'll do some mulching to preserve the hydration of the existing trees. So come one, come all. I'm going to put our Facebook link in the chat. Come make history, plant trees. You see those huge trees in Fairmont Park? They were planted many years ago. And the trees we plant will be there for a long, long time. And come make history, April 24th, 9 o'clock at Fairmont Park. Thanks, Landon.
Thank you. Okay, Other Side Academy. We'll start with Maurice. Maurice, do you want to introduce the team that's here tonight?
Yeah, so it'd be myself. My name is Maurice Moegan. I'm the Director of Neighbor Recruitment for the Other Side Village. We also have one of our village coaches, Russell Pearson. And we also have Camille Winnie. who's going to go ahead and lead our presentation here.
You guys
Great.
need to share screen.
Yes, can I go ahead and share? It's still showing us disabled.
Yeah, they probably got to give you permission.
Go ahead.
Okay. So just to begin, as Mo mentioned, we're joined by our other colleagues here and also Robbie Myrick, and they're all part of the team that is bringing together the Other Side Village project. The Other Side Village is a master plan community that is designed to house the chronically homeless. That will be essentially on the west side of Salt Lake City it's a planned unit community. It's on Indiana Avenue, just west of Redwood Road. So we wanted to tell you a little bit about the village and what will be included there and essentially what it is we'll be offering. The village is a master plan community with permanent supportive housing for over 400 people who are chronically homeless, who are currently residing in shelters or living on the streets here in Salt Lake City and in Utah. We'll install a peer accountability model to keep the community safe, clean, and orderly. And Russell will be telling us a little bit more about that in a few minutes and what that means and what our history is with that. And the village will be supported by revenue generated by our social enterprises in the village, which will allow us to be operationally self-sufficient and provide employment opportunities as well for the residents who live there. So I'll turn the time over to Mo. He's going to talk to us a little bit about who the people are that we'll be serving.
Yeah, thanks, Camille. So really this is about a culture of peer accountability, of me holding myself accountable and me holding others accountable within my community. Just a little bit of background about myself. I grew up in a strong culture, but it was a negative culture. Started using drugs in 4th grade, had an uncle that taught me how to roll weed, smoke weed, and sell weed. That was the culture that I grew up in. And it led me to some places that I wouldn't wish on anybody, but that was a culture, and it was a strong culture, even though it was negative. And so getting to the Other Side Village, which is a community for folks who have been chronically homeless, those that suffer from mental illness, ongoing drug addictions, and we want to help out displaced veterans as well. That's who the Other Side Village is specifically for. Now, we've had plenty of opportunities, at least for myself. I smoked drugs for over 20 years. I was homeless for 10 years in the Tenderloin District in San Francisco. And I'm 16 years clean and sober today, but it wasn't always that way. I recall having many of different services available. I mean, I was able to get food, clothing, money, and housing. And the model that existed for me that still exists today with a housing is that you give a person a housing voucher and you think that the problem is solved. Well, it's not that easy, because the person takes that housing voucher and in their pocket, you got crack, heroin, meth, or whatever, spice or whatever other drug, and you take that into your new place. A couple weeks later, everyone else in your group that does drugs or smoking in your new apartment, and a couple months later, you get evicted. That's a model that exists today. We wanted to make sure that we were able to teach a person how to actually maintain that housing after they work so hard to get it and not be a part of that revolving door. And so for the last 7 or 8 months, me and my team, we've been in homeless shelters, resource centers, and some of the homeless encampments, and letting folks know that, hey, there's an opportunity coming down the pipeline that you want to take advantage of. Really, it's about getting the American dream back on the table. It's about getting folks healthy and back in a position where they can participate in society and be a part of that dream. Folks that we run into are suffering from emotional, physical, and mental trauma. We got PTSD, a lot of different mental health issues, and a lot of substance abuse. And so the thing that we've been successful with, our sister program, the Other Side Academy, is establishing that culture of peer accountability. And what that looks like is that, you know, our community is never going to be successful if, for example, you see a person that's being destructive not only to themselves, but to the community. And so often, we don't say anything. I lived by a code in the street for years that said, you don't snitch, snitches get stitches. It turns out that code that I lived by for so many years was the very code that kept me sick. But most importantly, it kept me from healing and getting better. And so the Other Side Village will have small homes that'll be available. But we know that we can't just stick a person inside a home and expect them to be okay. What we want to do is establish a welcome neighborhood. A welcome neighborhood is a place where, let's just say a person is strung out on crack, heroin, meth, or what have you. We need to get that person and give them an opportunity to get detoxed, and then we can get them into the welcome neighborhood. Similar to the folks that may be wilding out or maybe having some mental episodes. Let's get you stabilized. If it's your medication that you need to get back on, let's do that. Let's get you into the welcome neighborhood. Let's recalibrate your moral compass. Let's get your thinking straight. Let's get your health right. And let's begin that process of waking up, maybe having a morning meeting, maybe participate in one of our social enterprises and getting on a regular schedule throughout that day. What we've been successful at is establishing that culture, which says that, you know, the amount of time that it takes a person to do something that's destructive to themselves and to the community, the amount of time it takes for myself, my neighbor, my community to speak up and say something is going to determine how successful you're going to be in life and how successful your community is going to be. How many times in life have we been at a family reunion or a family gathering and we got an uncle or a cousin or somebody in the family that's addicted, they're wilding out, they're alcoholics, and rather than approaching that person and seeing what we can do, we go into our little corner and we kind of whisper and we talk about the person, never really addressing it, never really reaching out to this person and say, hey, I care about you. Here's some alternatives. Here's a pathway forward. And so it's that peer accountability that we're really trying to help a person with and trying to teach a person with in the Other Side Village.
Thanks, Mo. We're going to turn the time over to Russell Pearson now, who's also our founding organization is the Other Side Academy. And Russell's going to talk a little bit about who the Other Side Academy is and why this is the right organization to create this village for the chronically homeless. And he'll tell us a little bit about his experience as having been a graduate of the Academy. Russell?
Thank you. So just to give you some perspective, I should be sitting in prison for another 9 years. This would have been my third time back in prison. And instead of having to do that, I was able to write a letter to the Other Side Academy and ask for help. And if you see in my background, the bench that's on the wall is really the portal to your new life. And that's where you first come to the Other Side Academy. And you commit to some beliefs that we live by, that you're willing to do whatever it takes to save your life. And that's what I did. And when I first got to the Academy, it was hard for me to understand or believe some of the things that I was being told. But as I stayed longer and I learned what this Academy could offer me, a chance to have my life back, and obviously not rot away in prison and get nothing, I started to buy into the culture. And that's the culture that Mo spoke about, is being accountable. Our organization at the Other Side Academy is different from the village because there are no paid clinicians. It's peer-driven therapeutic community, and it's run by people who have gone through the program and then chosen to stay and give back and become staff members. And so it's always about helping the next person, being of service to others and giving back. So I graduated after 2 years, and then I chose to stay a third year because I felt like I wanted to give back to the place that had saved my life. And I thought, you know, what's one more year, kind of like an insurance policy to give me a better chance at success. And when the Other Side Academy started, a lot of the people were skeptical and they were fearful of putting a bunch of convicted felons in the neighborhood. And quickly, what the community saw was the crime rates decreased tremendously. One of the things that happens there is they have a night security, and they do this every day of the year where they walk around the properties and they look for crime or other things happening. And that presence was known quickly. And the beautification of the properties from what they were, from abandoned drug homes and homeless camps where they shot heroin, to becoming beautiful facilities for these students that they've beautified. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with where the campus is located, but you know what I'm talking about when I say what an amazing improvement's been done. And so there was a time when we had run into some problems, and they were taking votes about being able to continue this. And what they found was, instead of a bunch of opposition, they had a large number of the community show up in support of the Other Side Academy and said, we absolutely want this place in our neighborhood. We've never felt safer. You know, we've let our children go and be involved with the activities and things going on there. So it was a complete different reaction from the community once they had saw what had happened. And so, to speak a little bit about the social enterprises, the Other Side decided we wanted to start a moving company because as a nonprofit, we completely support ourselves. We don't accept funding or government money. We completely rely on ourselves. And that's one of our beliefs, is there is no free lunch. If we want to live, we have to work. And so we created a moving company, and that started with renting a U-Haul truck. They now have the #1 rated moving company in the state of Utah with all 5-star reviews. I'm sure probably some of you on here have used them or heard about them. And I'll never forget, as a mover, I did that for one of my vocational trades. You know, it wasn't until after the move that we were able to tell these people our story. And what sets us apart is, instead of walking to the truck, we run to the truck. Nobody's smoking cigarettes. Nobody's on a cell phone. The level of accountability, integrity, if a little tiny ding on the wall is made, we tell the people. And that gets noticed quickly because it's such a high level of integrity. And when we were able to tell our stories, we would tell these people, you know, we were the people that used to take your stuff and now we're moving it. And, you know, they were a little fearful at first, but once they saw our abilities and the work ethic we had, they quickly became huge supporters. And in that, people started asking, well, we have some nice stuff we'd like to give away. And so we turned that into another social enterprise. And now we have 2 thrift boutiques in Salt Lake, which are really high-end and nice stuff. So I'm sure some of you have probably been to or heard of the Other Side thrift boutiques. We have a location on State Street in Murray and one in Mill Creek. All of these businesses generate revenue and all go towards saving the next person's life who's sitting on jail like I was, waiting to go back to prison, that wanted a chance to save my life. Just to quickly show you the success rate of the Other Side Academy, I'm not going to read these, you guys can see them, but I'll give you my story quickly. 5 years ago, I was on my way back to prison. Today, I just graduated from the University of Utah with my Bachelor of Social Work in December. I start the Masters of Social Work program on May 16th here in a month. I received my Advanced Substance Use Disorder certificate as well. I'm getting ready to take that professional licensing exam. And I'm also a combat veteran. I served in Iraq and Desert Storm. So my goal and my role and my hope when they offered this opportunity to me to work with the village was a dream come true, because I get to stay connected with the Other Side Academy, who saved my life. I get to go on and work with the Other Side Village and work with a population that desperately needs help. And I get to work with the veteran population. And my goal is to bring the clinical side, now that I'm educated in the clinical side, along with the therapeutic side, because I'm a graduate of the therapeutic community and I understand it, and I'm a veteran. And I hope to bridge the gap between those two, because the clinical and therapeutic sides look at each other so differently. And that's what we're trying to bring into the Other Side Village with our wraparound services of Valley Behavioral Health, that we will address the clinical side professionally with licensed therapists, while along bringing in a democratic therapeutic community that allows us to create that culture like Mo was speaking of. And this is simply, if somebody throws a pop can down in our neighborhood, we expect our villagers to say, hey, you shouldn't do that. Pick that up. We want to keep our community clean and beautiful. And that's what we're going to expect. And that's how we're very transparent in talking to these people about what we expect. And another thing that sets us aside is we're asking that once they come from the neighborhood into the village, that it is a sober community, no drugs or alcohol. And that's what we're going to expect. But something that's important with that is, instead of just throwing them out like a lot of places do when they slip up, which we know will happen, we're going to take their keys and put them back in the village and turn the dials and figure out what went wrong and fix it, and give them an opportunity to come back into their home. And so I think we're doing something that's never been done. I know it works because I'm living proof of it, as I've seen many others of you, as you're seeing on the screen, have gained their lives back from the academy. And now we're really excited to bring this into the village and work and help the homeless population. Thank you.
Thank you, Russell. So now we've kind of given an introduction to a little bit about what we're doing for the village, as well as a background on the Other Side Academy, which is our sister organization and really the founders that are helping to bring the village to fruition. So the current model, as we touched on a little bit, is, we have the current model of homelessness services includes housing with some supportive services and sometimes on-site medical or healthcare or mental health care available. But the number of services are fairly limited. And in that model, somebody might have occasional visits with a case manager, but that there are limits to that. And those services are made available to them if they choose to. And what we're going to be doing differently, in addition to the things you've heard Mo and Russell talk about, in addition to housing, we'll be having a number of whole person services, life skills training, such as financial literacy training, nutrition, cooking. There will be an on-site garden. There will be on-site pet services that are available, and support organizations who will support donating services for that, for dental, as well as other health and wellness training and classes. We'll have our social enterprises that was mentioned before, opportunities for people to work within the social enterprises if they choose to. If not, we can help provide employment services for someone to get training outside. We also are developing a partnership with Salt Lake Community College, offer certificate and school training and an advancing for that for those who wish to return to school or to go to school for the first time to achieve a certification of some type or to get a degree. And so we will have a number of supportive services that will be led by Russell's team, the village coaches, and the others who will be working with us. And many of those are going to be students that have graduated from the academy who have that background as well, who've lived this experience and have gotten their lives back on track, and so have real world firsthand experience about what that takes. So it'll be a robust community of services. And also we will have a robust connection with the greater community. Our goal is to create a village that not just serves the residents who live there, but serves the greater community. We'll talk a little bit about the services they'll have available a little here later and what will be available to the community as well. The homes will be, we tend to call them tiny homes, but essentially some homes will be as small as kind of the traditional tiny homes we see so often in popular media, but also larger homes, more of a cottage style home. The homes will be anywhere from 250 to 400 square feet with rents from $200 to about $400 a month, including utilities. So it'll be deeply affordable. They will be fully furnished, fully decorated with full bedroom. The units that are 400 square feet will have a separate bedroom. Others will be more like a studio or apartment, but we'll have a complete full kitchen with all appliances, normal bathroom with all the amenities there, but a beautiful home that any of us would be happy to live in, something you might rent in one of these nice new apartment complexes going up, a 1-bedroom or studio apartment with every nice thing that you could imagine. And each neighborhood is made up of about 25 to 30 homes each. And in those neighborhood circles, they will have their own community centers, much like a clubhouse is that you would have in your own, in a condominium complex or apartment building, where you have meeting and gathering space, laundry facilities, a kitchen, a full kitchen, as well as TV and recreational space. And those will be for those neighbors. And those 2 different neighborhood communities will share one community center. So we're creating an environment where neighbors can come together and really create a feeling of support and really support that culture of peers helping peers. One of the things, and we're going to be self-sustaining financially, and here are some of the ways that we're doing that. So there's the rental income from the units. And we also will have a community inn, which is an Airbnb type of experience, where we'll have a number of those homes will be set aside that are for rent, or not, excuse me, not for rent, but for overnight stays, like an Airbnb unit. It'll run like a community inn. So if somebody wants to visit and stay there, somebody who's coming to volunteer, or somebody in the neighborhood who has a guest and wants to stay at a place, or people from the surrounding neighborhoods who want to have family members come and visit and stay. So those will be available to the larger community as Airbnb style units that will be part of the village. That will be one of our social enterprises. We'll also have other retail businesses that will be both for residents as well as the surrounding community, including a cafe, coffee shop, small grocery store, hair salon, and more services like that. We're also going to have on-site event spaces and auditorium a performing arts auditorium with 600 seats, as well as an outdoor amphitheater and event gathering space. So there'll be opportunities for people from the community as well as the neighbors in the village to have events, craft markets, different things, community events and social gatherings for not only the people who live there, but especially for the surrounding neighborhood and the city. And then, of course, we'll have our social enterprise. There'll be the on-site. And right now, our first major social enterprise will be a packaged food production facility. And we're going to be producing cookies, packaged cookies that will be sold in grocery stores, convenience stores, and that sort of thing. We're actually working with our partner, who is the founder of the Loft House cookies. As you all might have seen, the pink sugar cookies that we got in the gas station for years. We're working with the founder of that to help us create our own cookie production company. So that will be one of our first major social enterprises. And like the Academy, which is fully funded and supported by the social enterprises that are actually run by the students. They do not accept any government funding. They don't require ongoing funding for operations from any source, including philanthropic or government or other funding. The only funding that we ever require is just for capital improvements and expansion, which often is able to be paid off in very short time through those social enterprises. So this will be the same model we'll employ with the village. And we hope to attain that self-sustaining, financially self-sustaining operational level within the first couple of years of operation. Currently, our budget for phase 1 will be doing we'll be doing a small phase 1, which will include 2 of the neighborhoods of about 30 homes each, for a total of about 60 homes. The first phase will cost about $7,500,000. We currently have 2,500, a little over 2,500 committed, actually received. We've got another 1,800,000 that has been committed either in kind or in donations that will be provided. And then we're still in the process of raising the additional little over $3 million that will to complete the funding for phase 1. And we're well working on meeting that goal here, I think within the next year or so. We've got lots of opportunities there. So this is essentially what phase 1 will take. These are ways that you can get involved to help. We're asking for people to help donate to help build the village. We have a number of builders, the Home Builders Association and others, who are donating actual units. School programs, vocational school building programs are donating and building units, as well as families and such. And also through philanthropic or employee matches. So we have the opportunity for companies to donate and also to provide in-kind donations or matching for their employees. and also to engage in volunteer opportunities. We will be utilizing a number of volunteers to help keep the community operational. That is something that we hope to do on an extensive basis to help involve the greater community in serving those who are homeless, as well as participating in the solution. And then those who are interested in joining the leadership circle, there are opportunities for that to help build and grow the village. So if you want to learn more about us, here are our contacts. You can find us on social media, on Facebook and LinkedIn, on Instagram, and also this QR code up in the upper left-hand corner. Our website is theothersidevillage.com. You can go there to sign up for our newsletters. We send those out periodically about every 2 weeks to give updates on the construction. We hope to have our approval for our zoning change request, as well as a lease from the city, completed within the month of April. We're waiting for the city council to meet and vote on those and approve those. And then we hope to begin our construction by this summer. So we'd love to answer any questions you have, and then you can take a look at any of these resources to learn more about us as well. Thank you.
Landon, you're muted.
You're muted, Landon.
My fault. I didn't want you guys to hear me cough, but thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. I was able to tour this place maybe a month ago. It's an amazing place. So thank you. And we're going to unmute Councilwoman Amy Fowler. She's going to talk now, but if anybody has any questions, you guys can reach out to them in the chat, or I don't know. Do you guys do tours of your place for folks if they would like to come by?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We do. Yeah, we can actually have people tour at the academy right now. The village isn't in place, but we do have people over for tours at the academy, and we've got a lot of different materials there to be able to show, but also just to see, you know, our partner, the academy, how it operates, and to see firsthand really what a beautiful facility it is, and how great an opportunity it is for those who come to live there and are served by it.
Yeah, thank you. It's great. All right, Amy, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. So good to see everybody. Right now, I can only see the other side of the screen, but I'm going to kind of go backwards and start with what we just heard. And as many of you know, I am a criminal defense attorney, and I have several clients that have gone through the Other Side Academy, and it is an amazing program. I look forward to what the Other Side Village may be, and can't wait to get the full information that we need so that it can get on a city council agenda so that we can actually vote on it. So I know that I know the power of the program. I will tell you that. I have several clients that have been there, and there is good work being done there. And so once again, I look forward to what we can bring in the future when we are all on the same page. So thank you. And thank you, Mo. And Mo, the first time I met him was at a food truck in right outside the old DI site when we would do food trucks up there. So Mo, it is good to see you as always. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was actually one of our social enterprises.
Yep.
That we had at the Other Side Academy. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that. Absolutely.
It was. And it was a delicious food. And I went when I was campaigning and got to have a drink and sit outside and have delicious food. So thank you for all of that.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy.
Sorry, I'm pulling up my notes. So the next thing, and I am certain that Laura Briefer talked about this, but we do need somebody for the watershed. And Laura Stevens is here, my intern, as you all know. We do need somebody for the watershed board. So if anybody is interested in serving on the watershed board, please email me and Laura Stevens and Brian, the new Brian Pantel, that we can get you on the list and get you on the board to be a part of that. And again, I'm sure Laura mentioned this, but we are looking for somebody to, throughout 2022, really it's just to look at protecting our watersheds. As you all know, we always have an issue within the legislature of trying to take over our watersheds, and this watershed board will help us create policies, help us create the messaging that we need from our community members of how important our watersheds are. And actually, as I look at my notes, we need to reach out to Sam. If any of you know Sam Owens, but any one of us, and we can get you there if you're interested. The other thing I would love to talk about, and where is Sarah? Sarah Woolsey. I was planning an Earth Day event on April 24th as well, and at Fairmont Park to pick up trash from 11 to 1. So what we'd like to do, hopefully, and I'll talk to Sarah, is just combine the two, and we'll be there from 9 to 1. So we will have public services out there with trash bags, and we'll have a table and some swag. If you haven't gotten a bag and a cool t-shirt from D7, then you can at that time. But we were planning on having a Earth Day event, and so we were setting up a tent right around the skate park. I go to Fairmont Park all the time, and it seems to me that there are oftentimes that people forget that there are garbage cans next to where the garbage cans are. So we are going to go ahead and just do some loops and pick up garbage around the garbage cans and in the area, and just, be out there celebrating and support Sarah and the Friends of Fairmont in planting trees. So I hope that everybody can be out there with us at that time. And we will be sending out more information about that. We are having, as many people know, that we do homeless resource fairs. I am always a part of the homeless resource fairs. I use my not city council hat, but I do use my lawyer hat and volunteer as a criminal defense attorney for our friends that are experiencing homelessness that also have criminal cases. And so we have a homeless resource fair coming up on April 15th and May 20th. We are looking for volunteers to help serve lunches. We are also looking for volunteers to help we put up tents and take down tents on April 8th and May 20th. And again, we will send out information about all of those and where those are at. The April 8th one, which is on Friday, will be up on Victory Road. And the last resource fair I went to, we set up lots of tents. There are tons of volunteers. It's really wonderful. People can come and have their pets chipped and vaccinated. We have lots of resources there, and we're always looking for more volunteers. So if you're interested, please contact Allison Dupler, and Laura will send out an email about all of these contact information. And then we are coming up on budget season. So yay for that. Be aware of budget. And then two other things that I know I have gotten a lot of emails about, which unfortunately at this point, I don't have a lot of say in, if that makes sense. And those are the planning issues going on in our district. One on Stratford and one on 13th East. And I think that we all know what we're talking about. So the one on Stratford is back at the Planning Commission. And I just wanted to give a quick update. Again, this is not something that I have any say in, but I think that this is an opportunity for me to at least give an update of where it is. So the Planning Commission is scheduling a meeting with Community Council, and I will leave that to Landon, before it actually goes back to the Planning Commission. So the Planning Department is looking to get some more feedback on the Stratford. And if people here remember, it came to the council and we voted to send it back to the commission. So it's back in planning, and there is going to be other opportunity sort of for community input. My understanding is that the planning division will reach out to community members before it goes to the Planning Commission. There is no date scheduled for any sort of planning. It's not on an agenda yet, let's say that. So there is still time to reach out, and there is still time to talk to people. And again, we will put the contact information in a follow-up email. The other one is the 1300 East and 21st South old Sizzler. And that is proposed to be a new Come and Go, a gas station. As many of you know, there is nothing as a city councilwoman that I can do for that. I am trying in other areas, but to look at what we can do. But right now, that property has been sold, and the applicant is working through its application through the Planning Commission. So I just want everyone to know those things. Again, I know many of you have reached out to the Planning Commission. Many of you have reached out to me. I encourage you to continue reaching out to the Planning Commission. And as I don't know if you know this, but as a city councilwoman, we do not get involved in what is happening at the Planning Commission. It is sort of the line that's drawn where we have a Planning Commission for a reason. And we are, as city council people, asked and kind of ethically, I think, told to kind of stay out of it until it comes to our table. So there's not a lot, at least from where the applicant and the application is right now, that I can do about that. And so I encourage everybody to continue reaching out to the Planning Commission for whatever thoughts they may or may not have on that project. Looking at notes, I believe, Laura, is that everything? I'm looking at Laura's title right now. I think that's everything at this point. Always happy to take any questions. I can answer them in the chat, or feel free to call or text and we'll answer them there. I do want to say one other thing, and I did text Director Briefer about this, that she mentioned of all of the things she relies on regarding the drought. The one thing she forgot to mention was that my dad calls her all the time, or calls me to tell her all the time about the bird flight patterns, and that the birds tell us how we're going to get water. And Laura, we rely on that. So anyway, just wanted to throw that in there. But.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you, Laura. Go ahead, Sally. Unmute yourself.
I didn't realize I had that much power.
I know.
Tonight seems to be the night for asking for volunteers. And so I am looking for volunteers for the marathon aid station. Sugar House Community Council has had an aid station for the marathon every year for the last, I think, 6 or 7 years. And this year it looked like it might not happen, but I volunteered to run the aid station this year, so I'm volunteering you to come and help me hand out water and Gatorade as the marathon runners come by. It's on April 23rd, so the day before we go to Fairmont Park to plant trees. We are all going to be at Sugar House Park at the Sugar House Community Council aid station for the marathoners. And the location, it's a very easy job and very inspiring actually to watch all these people. I think 6,000 people are signed up for the marathon this year. And so the aid station, our aid station is located on the southeast corner of the park, right where the Parley's Trail enters Sugar House Park, right by the new 17th bridge. So it'll be a chance for you to see the new bridge on 17th East and hand out water and Gatorade to the marathon runners as they come by. I need anywhere from 15 to 20 people. The marathon starts up at the university at 7:30, so they won't be coming by our aid station much before 8:30. So if any of, or all of you could be there, we could have a big party. All of you could be there at about 8 o'clock, 8:15. That should be plenty of time to be there in time for those first runners to come through. And so please come out and help. Let me know if you can, because I'm trying to get a head count of how many people I can count on. So please get in touch with me. Let me know you'd be available. That'll be awesome. And Landon has asked me to adjourn the meeting. That never has happened either. So I guess we're adjourned.
Thank you. Thanks, Sally.